Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bench to Bold. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Alisa.
And we are so excited to be just here together, the two of us, talking about all these fun things that we like to share with our listeners. So, Alisa, let's talk today about you and your fitness, because you're so fit. You're in such great shape.
Well, thank you.
You're so disciplined with it.
Every once in a while. I'm not.
No, you are. I mean, you can't look that way and not be disciplined.
Well, yeah, I'm disciplined to a point, but so we all fall off the wagon.
But I mean, you've had a fitness career. You've done fitness for a living. So what is the difference between doing fitness for a living and being fit or being healthy? Like, what are all the different little things about that?
Oh, fitness for a living. I don't know if I did it for a living, so to speak. But it was a big part of my life, and it always has been. I've been working out and been in the gym since I was 16 years old.
And what made you decide like that was where you wanted to go?
Well, because I was a little overweight as a child. I was a cheerleader throughout my whole life, up until high school. And, I like to eat junk food. So, as we all do. So, I just didn't have the best discipline eating habits as a child. And, I was that child that didn't want to eat the vegetables and, the healthy things for us. I was that child that wanted to go through the McDonald's drive-thru. So, when I got into high school, my weight kind of crept up on me. So I got a hold of that when I graduated and went to college, and started working out actually, right before I went to college at University of North Carolina, Greensboro. And I actually got some of my girlfriends to actually join me in the gym there. We had a brand new student union with a brand new gym over at UNCG. And I just got in the gym and I joined a gym, Gold's Gym, in my early 20s and met some people that were big into working out. And I just kind of adopted that way of living for myself. And it just carried into my 30s when I decided, to competitively bodybuild in the figure division of bodybuilding. And so it's just followed me throughout my life. And I just, I built onto those habits of eating clean, so to speak, clean and healthy throughout my life. And, I competed on and off for 4 or 5 years in my 30s and stopped competing when I turned 40. But then I transitioned that over into a cycling career where I actually rode a road bike outside competitively.
Wow, that's so hard. I mean, the Clifton pedals, I can't ride a bike like that. I fell off the bike so many times and my kids were watching me. I was invited to go on some biking trip in Europe and had a bike and the pedals. And I took my bike. We were living in California at the time to the Santa Monica. There's a bike path down there and there were some hills and I had a bike teacher and I kept falling down and my kids were terrified. And I was like, nope, not doing it.
It's scary
to
transition from tennis shoes to clip-in.
Yes, it was really.
Yeah, and you forget. There was probably 2 times on bike rides that I forgot I was clipped in and you literally just fall over on your hip. It could be it could be dangerous because you could break your hip real easy.
Yeah, or fall into traffic.
Yeah, fall into traffic. So yes, but it's, it's much easier to cycle outside at a fast pace because I'd averaged 22 to 23 miles an hour in a double pace line with 30 to 50 people every night throughout the week. So when it's easier to have and be clipped in because you have the ability to push down and pull up when you're clipped in. But yeah, so, I stopped competing when I was 40. It was a wish of my dad's on his literal deathbed that I did not do that anymore, compete in bodybuilding. He just could not stand the thought of his daughter standing up on stage in barely nothing on in a 2-piece bikini. So that was an ask of him on his deathbed that I not do that. And, he said, if you want to buy a bike, I would much rather you ride a bike outside. And then that became really dangerous. So, but talking about being disciplined and eating and healthy eating, transitioning from a bodybuilding sport to where I was literally having 1,000 calories a day, very little carbs, no carbs after 2:00, eating 5 to 6 small meals a day, to transitioning over to a sport like biking outside to where you quickly have to learn, because I literally hit a wall cycling and could not literally pedal one more stroke because I was depleted of all my carbs.
Yeah.
So you learn, how to transit, or I learned how to transition from a bodybuilding sport into a cycling sport. And then that cycling sport got really dangerous, because it's dangerous now to cycle outside. And especially moving to Charlotte, there's really no good roads to cycle on. So then I transitioned over to running, which you, of course, need more carbs for running. And I learned that training for the New York City Marathon. I ran the New York City Marathon in 2015. But it was scary.
Now, how did you decide? Okay, was it like this is a goal, like a mental goal or a fitness goal or both? Or someone was like, Alisa, you could do this. And then what was the training like?
No,
and the demands to do that?
Good question. When I decided to become a runner, I thought, I'd like to try. I started with a 5K, and then I went to a 10K, and then I went to a half marathon. And I thought, if I could ever get into do a marathon, I would want to do New York, because New York's my favorite city. We all know that. I love New York. And I said, if I ever, you'd see you get into New York by lottery. So I literally made the decision one night sitting in the floor with my mom and my aunt. My dad had passed away already. And I said, I think I want to do a marathon. And the only one I would want to do would be New York. So I'm going to apply for the lottery. And I got in. And I said, okay, I gotta do this, because I got in.
How much time from when you got in to when you did it?
So I literally found out on my birthday in February 2015 that I was granted in to run the New York City Marathon. And it was going to be on November 1st, 2015. So I had, I had a few months to really, prepare for that. However, I had just booked a biking trip, first biking trip to Europe. I was going to Spain with my best friend at the time, to do a backroads biking trip all over Spain. And that was going to be for a 2-week period, right in the middle of, in July, leading up to my marathon. So I had to take some time off of running for that when I was in the middle of doing some of my longer training days. But that's how I got to the New York City Marathon. But it was scary to transition from, bodybuilding to cycling to running when you're used to eating very little food, and then you have to really eat a lot of food. Otherwise you're going to not be able to make it. So
I
had to get a coach. I had to get a running coach, because it was hard for me to make the decision.
And what did the running coach, what did they work with you on? The actual distance of the running, the endurance, the pacing, the meals? What was it?
Mostly my nutrition, was nutrition for me, because that was the hard part. Running was not the hard part for me. And I did not like to run with other people. That was hard, because there was, run clubs that you could go run with on Saturdays to get your long miles, your 12, your half marathon, you had to run a half. Then I think there was a 14 mile, a 16 mile, a 20, a 22, and a 24 leading up to it. But mainly,
it's such a long run.
You run several half marathons training for a marathon. Leading up to it.
How long does it take you to run? How long?
I wasn't a fast runner. So I ran a 9-minute mile, an 8. Sometimes I would be in the 8s, but I really try to not run. And that's what my running coach taught me is, just think about finishing the marathon. Not trying, because I never wanted to get to Boston. I never wanted to qualify for Boston or any of the other places you have to qualify for. I knew that it would probably be my one and only. I enjoyed running, but the distance for a marathon, I did not enjoy that.
Yeah.
Half marathons was my thing, that or 10Ks.
And, all right. So after the marathon, when you finished, what did you eat?
Oh gosh.
Were you just exhausted? Were you just like, all right, I'm going to bed?
Well, I could barely walk. So I ended in Central Park It started over off, Staten Island. And we went through all the boroughs, but it ended in Central Park. And literally, my best friend was there with me, and I called her and told her where I literally had dropped after finishing the marathon. I was right near a train station to get on the subway to get back, and I literally could not feel my feet. I could not. It felt like the last 5 miles literally felt like I was running on needles.
Yeah.
So it was hard. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
I think people wear they run, their shoes wear out during the run oftentimes or whatever.
I never stopped. I only ran through the water stations and grabbed some stuff or grabbed a banana and kept going because I knew if I stopped that I don't know that I would have started back again.
So
it was one of those things.
During the station, so people are there, let's talk about the importance of having somebody cheer for you that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it was fun because when I did my marathon in New York, it was the night before was Halloween, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it was fun. So, and thinking back on it, it was kind of scary because we live in that world where you just, people would run out. I can remember people running out with candy and just giving us candy from what they had left over for Halloween. Yeah. And I had a fanny pack on because I was carrying, a couple of things with me in my fanny pack. I carried I had an iPad, or not an iPad, but whatever those little...
An iPod?
iPod, thank you. An iPod. I carried that in there, and I carried some chapstick in there. And so I can remember this one lady running out of her apartment and just with a bowl of candy, and me just grabbing as much as, because I love candy, so I just grabbed as much as I could fit in my hands while I was running and just stuffed it down in, and here I am, jelly beans, Starburst, running the New York City Marathon, eating Halloween candy. And when looking back on that moment, it's kind of scary to think, oh my gosh, someone could have really put something bad in this candy, and here I was just eating it.
Yeah. Well, thankfully no one did.
Right. So, but it was fun. It was fun. But, when it was over, it was hard to get going again. But, I knew I needed to eat. So it was, I love Mediterranean food. So we went to a diner, and I literally had, and I felt bad eating all this food, right? Yeah. But I had a salad with tons of grilled chicken on it. I kind of always stayed in my wheelhouse of grilled chicken or salads, but I love sweet potato fries. So I remember getting, all the sweet potato fries I could eat. And then the next morning, I love bagels, bread. The next morning,
I just ran 26 miles.
Yeah,
I'm going to have
whatever
bagels,
I want.
Whatever. Yeah.
But I wasn't literally that hungry, but I knew I needed to eat. Right. So I forced myself to eat it. But yes. And then it was, time to go take a shower and just enjoy a hot bath.
I think that that's such a huge accomplishment. I'm sure that running a marathon, choosing to do that, committing to it, often when you're having doubts about yourself, I would hope that that's a moment that, you can remember, be like, I did the New York Marathon. I could do anything.
Yeah. I literally rode over on a bus where they took us to start the marathon with a lady, and she lived in New York City. She was 65 years old. It was her 10th New York City marathon in a row. And, I knew during the marathon, immediately after, and I still say it, I would never sign up to do it again. But the sense of accomplishment, the feeling of completing a marathon, because it was literally the hardest thing I've ever done. And I think I did it in, it took me almost 4.5 hours to do it.
That's not bad.
No, but I took my time, and that's what my running coach, preached. She was like, have fun with it. Stop along the way, not for long. Stop along the way, take pictures of yourself, take selfies, enjoy the marathon, enjoy running. And that's what I miss about running, is because I love to run by myself just because it was my time to be free. Mm-hmm. I love to do it. I worked full time, obviously, my entire life until a couple of years ago. And that was what I looked forward to the most when I got off of work, was to change into my running clothes or my workout clothes and get a good workout, but definitely get a good run, because it was my time to just decompress and enjoy, just nature and
nature.
Yeah. Hearing the birds or the crickets in the morning chirp, whatever. Just, the birds chirp and the crickets and you look at the beautiful flowers. And, I always would choose a different route just so I could get a change of scenery. I was not that person. I didn't want to run with other people because I didn't want to talk while I was running. And I would always carry my, my music with me, but then I got to choose and decide whether or not I would want to.
Was there certain music that you liked?
Oh, yeah.
That
hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes, when I was training in the gym, it was always hard rock.
Right.
Or, hard rock, Def Leppard, AC/DC.
Yeah. That's good workout music. It just motivate. Like AC/DC, I think is like the best, Def Leppard. I mean, they're all great. I mean, they know how to
motivate.
Yeah,
right. It's just hardcore
music.
Weight training. But when I was running, I would listen to things, all different genres, but it was mainly hip hop or R&B. If I was in a chill mood, I'd throw on some great R&B and that's what I loved about running by myself. Cause sometimes I would play it to where I didn't have my headphones on so I could just, put my phone here in my sports bra and listen to it and not have to have it, so I could hear cars coming. Cause I actually got hit by a lady one day, running in Winston-Salem and I had my headphones on and she said she beeped at me at a stop sign and I wasn't looking the way she was and she tapped me and threw me into traffic.
Oh, geez.
So it could have been catastrophic. Yeah. But so I actually got hit by a lady, older lady. She was so apologetic and, I was fine. I had scratched up knees, but I got up and let her go and I kept my own running.
Wow. So now how do you think, like when you're trying to stay fit or be healthy, is there a difference between being fit and healthy?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so
I think you can be fit and not healthy. You can be healthy and maybe not fit.
Yeah, I think that is definitely true.
I try to be healthy and fit. I am fit. I'm more fit now than I probably have been since I competed within the past 6 to 9 months. I've worked on really changing my diet up.
Well, you're very disciplined. I've been out to eat with you.
I'm totally disciplined, but I felt like I got on a downward spiral of eating a lot of foods that probably cause inflammatory response in my body, and I was having a lot of joint pain. And I'm past I'm menopause. I'm in menopause. I've been that way for 2 years now. So we have to think about inflammation and joint pain and all the things, right? So I took all the sugar and refined sugar and all the bread out of my diet, and it totally changed the way I was feeling.
So is that so if you were going to counsel somebody, just like a few suggestions, like nothing serious, about like ways to improve their diet so that they can just feel a little bit healthier, what would you tell somebody?
Well, I think it's important to look at your macronutrients and to include, the fruits and the vegetables. I eat a ton of fruits and vegetables and the protein with every meal. I think it's important. And, so many people say, I'm not ever going to eat carbs, but you have to realize there are good carbs. Yeah. Sweet potatoes are fabulous. Brown rice is fabulous. You have to think about, the glycemic index and what causes an insulin spike. When you're thinking about carbs, and you also have to be mindful of what time you're eating them. Mm-hmm. I try not to eat any carbs after 2:00, but then I revert back to all my bodybuilding days. Right. But if I am going to eat a carb, I choose one that's low on the glycemic index, being brown rice or, the sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are fabulous. They have such nutritional value, but I would tell people just, have a protein, have a vegetable, and have a carb, a complex carb, not a simple carb.
Right.
We're all going to have, indulge, right? Because you have to.
I think so. I think it's about like just, again, having discipline and moderation is so key. And, I like learning about things that can make us little tweaks. Like I recently just saw something from a woman who's a pretty reputable expert. I mean, she is on Instagram. I'm not making a joke when I say that. Cause that's where I get all my medical advice. But she was she talks about the glucose levels and like the spike in glucose, and that why even back in the old days, the way that people ate was, we talked about this a little bit. My mom was always so thin, but she was very disciplined for sure. But I think a lot of she didn't eat junk. She would have a glass of wine here and there, but she wasn't going and doing junk food. And so she stayed, very thin and fit. And I think a lot of it had to do with just the healthier foods that were served back then, without all the additives and preservatives and things like that, because they make such a big difference. And I certainly, try to stay within the lines.
Well, and people also have to remember that if you pair a protein with a carb, it slows digestion down.
Right.
So you don't have an insulin spike. And then also adding fiber into your diet, right? Because the more fiber you have in something, you subtract the carbs from that. So, and fiber, it helps for a million things, but it keeps you fuller longer. And that's what you get with a great sweet potato. But yeah, I think eating 5 to 6 small meals a day, because it keeps your metabolism up. A lot of people say, I only eat one time a day. That's the most unhealthiest thing you can do.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And a lot of research is behind that. I think breakfast is your most important meal. And then you need to be really mindful of what time you're eating at night, dinner, and what you're eating at night. Because what you're eating at night, you're not going to exercise off.
You're not even going to walk around the house.
No. And, even now I look at research is saying that if you walk just 10 to 15 minutes after your meal, it has a ton of benefit.
Completely. And it's like there's so many things that make sense. Like, okay, back in the old days, people would, walk to dinner or walk home from the restaurant, things that are definitely easy, that make it easy to maintain, keep your body in good shape and just stay healthy. And, I think that now looking back at, my future, and I don't want to have the last 10 years of my life, be minimized because of my health. Like I saw my mom. So I'm trying to figure out ways to, just add a few things in or take a few things out where it's a good balance of staying healthy and enjoying still. I mean, we all like cookies. Like I still want to go and have an ice cream and do all those things. It's like last week I was traveling and I know that I didn't eat as well because it wasn't like I was eating fast food. It was just that I wasn't home. So like I was eating at different times and I was like, I don't really enjoy eating this late, but this is just what I'm doing right now.
And you'll get back to your regular schedule.
Right. And like, I think about the breakfast thing. Like I've read all these articles that talk about the reason why breakfast is such an important meal is that if you wake up and you're not hungry, that is a sign of having high cortisol. And so when your cortisol is high, like you want to wake up hungry.
And a slow metabolism.
Right. So if you wake up and you're not hungry, then your metabolism isn't like you should be eating, first thing. Like I still have I do wake up hungry, but I'm not like running to the fridge to make myself eggs at 5:30 in the morning. I'm going to get better at that, but I will have cottage cheese or something like that.
Or yogurt.
Yeah. And so those are just some things. And then I've also read that, and it makes sense. Like if you want the carbs, like the sourdough, like get the really good sourdough bread. And then when you freeze it, it actually lowers the glycemic index even more. So those are just some little things that my doctors, have shared with me and that I've just kind of studied and learned. And I now believe all those things, obviously, staying hydrated or trying to as much as you can.
The water is super important.
Yeah. I don't drink enough water. I'm going to go do an IV bag because I haven't had enough. I've been traveling and I know, like I can see it in my fingers. I'm like, you are dehydrated. And no matter how much water I would drink, I wouldn't be able to get what I could get from a bag of fluid. And, with all the, vitamin C they put the vitamin C in the bag. Like if we were to take vitamin C as like just ingested,
pill.
it's not as good as getting
Intravenously.
it intravenously. It's amazing how all of these things really do. And,
And I think that's with anything, right? Intravenously, because it doesn't have to pass through the liver. And
sometimes if you take too much vitamin C, it'll upset your stomach.
Yeah.
Just because it's a little bit more, it's like, I know if I have one of those emergency drinks, sometimes I'm like, that was not a good idea. I can just feel it. I know it works, I guess. And like, sorry to be gross, but whatever. It's just, that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Some of that stuff really does upset your stomach.
It really, especially if I think that like things will upset your stomach if you're really depleted in it too, because you're not used to having it. So then it's like so much of it, the same way that like if you were to have a ton of sugar, that would upset your stomach versus if that's like what you eat every day.
And it does, because I eat so clean that if I have something fried,
you can tell.
Kill my stomach.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why the hell did I do that?
Yeah.
I knew it was going to hurt my stomach. Because we get so sensitive to things when you eat so clean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 5 to 6 small meals a day is fabulous way to, and it doesn't have to be a lot of food that you eat. It could be a protein shake and 5 strawberries or, 5 strawberries and 10 almonds.
Just to
get
something
that fiber
to get
and the protein.
The fiber is so important
nuts
too.
Are so, almonds especially and walnuts and pistachios have such benefit.
You know what I really like are the sprouted walnuts.
I've never had those.
Oh, they're so good.
Sprouted.
And because they're healthier when they're sprouted. It's like a bean sprout, but it's a sprout. Because a walnut is a tree. So when they're sprouted, I'm going to look up what the benefits are. We'll add that. We're going to add that into the show.
But they're so healthy for you.
Yeah, the sprouted walnuts are so good, and they're definitely. Yeah. When I lived in California, of course, like, cause
they probably have them at Fresh Market. They had them
at like our farmer's market, but the sprouted ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try that.
I think that they're healthier sprouted walnuts. I don't eat a lot of almonds because if you have, like, I've been reading that like, they're not as good for you. They have to, again, it's like, whatever. I probably read too much from people that don't know anything.
My husband always says, be careful where you do your research from, right? Get it from New England Journal of Medicine, get it from reputable places for your research. And talking about research and back to exercise, there's just so many benefits. We used to think that killing ourselves doing cardio, running, at a fast pace and running hills or doing sprints or, killing yourself on the elliptical or on the stair climber. You don't have to do that anymore.
No, you don't. In fact, they say for women, it's bad.
It's bad. 10,000 steps a day.
I think it's 7,500. I don't even think it's 10,000. I think it's like 7,500.
So just getting your steps in. But lifting weights is so important, especially as we age. And and the more let's talk about it, the more muscle we have, the more fat and we burn at, sitting on our butt. Just at rest. So that's why it's so important. And then the bone density and osteoporosis and being mindful of, over 50, really getting your DEXA scan and your bone density and trying to do all the things. But there's so much out there. You never know, when we watch TikTok or Instagram or Facebook and all these reels, you never know what to believe, who to believe. So it's, like my husband says, do your research and get it from reputable places.
But I definitely think that like all that cardio stuff, like the people that were going to Soul Cycle which is a great thing to go do because it's a very emotional thing. Like I have friends in LA that they would go to Soul Cycle every day and they'd be like, it was like a life-changing experience. I'm like, I don't get it, but okay.
I did cycle in the spin class at the gym, but I've never done Soul Cycle.
Because like some of the teachers, it's like they're like it's motivational. And so whatever you need, like I think that that's a great thing. But I definitely think now we're just like, okay, here are the basics. Walk, lift weights, and heavier weights as much as you can figure out how to do that. And just try to be within the lines, within the boundaries of what seems to make sense.
And you can do it all at home. You don't need a gym membership.
No, I have a gym membership, but it's a donation.
And, I see a lot of people walking with weighted vest on, and I've been doing a lot of research on that. Yeah. And there's really no beneficial there's been proven studies that buying a weight vest,
it doesn't do anything.
no.
Yeah, I don't know I mean, I guess it would make your shoulder. I don't even know. But like, I think you're probably better off just carrying weights as you're walking.
Well, I mean,
or using
now they have the wrist
yeah.
weights, and you can put them on your ankles when you walk. But no, I haven't found any benefit. And maybe there is, but maybe I haven't found the right site yet for it. But Randy ordered a weight vest, and it's still sitting taped up in a box. And we probably had it
it's hard
6
to move
months.
it.
It's very heavy. I'm afraid it'll give me neck pain.
Right. That's what I would think too. So it's like, I know my friends have them, and I was just away and they were like, do you want to wear it? I was like, no.
A couple of ladies in my neighborhood have been wearing them lately while out walking. And so I started doing research on it because Randy ordered one. And his is quite heavy, so I wouldn't do that because he can obviously carry more weight than I can around my neck and shoulders. But there's been no true
I guess
benefits that I've read.
I can't see what the benefits. I mean, maybe like having extra weight means you're gonna burn more calories or something, but I don't see.
I think just back to basics, right?
Yeah.
Basic weightlifting, 5 to 6 small meals a day, macronutrients, protein, a complex carb, and vegetables. We all say, well, what kind of fruit? When people ask me that, my number one fruit would be blueberries. We all know there's great benefits, health benefits to blueberries, antioxidants.
Not apple butter? That's not your favorite fruit?
No, apple. That's a guilty pleasure. Just give me that and some pancakes.
It's really good.
But yeah, and strawberries and apples, because strawberries and apples are both loaded with fiber.
Yeah.
Raspberries, blackberries. When you start to talk about, bananas are good, but they're loaded with sugar. Pineapples, same way. So pick and choose those things to using those for if you are going to go out and exercise or do some weight training or running or, doing an aerobic sport. You definitely want to incorporate, a banana will help, especially if you have any kind of leg cramps. I play tennis, and bananas are great for if you're doing a singles match or a long doubles. You go into a third set or a tiebreaker, in tennis, and you have some bananas or something like that will give you some great energy. But, other than that, I think back to basics and just keeping it simple.
If you were going to have something that was an indulgence, what would it be?
Bread pudding.
Okay.
Epic Chop House. Kingsley or Mooresville location. Now they have a new location in Eagles Nest up in Banner Elk. They have the best bread pudding I've ever put in my mouth.
So what makes it? Is it like, is there a caramel sauce on top?
There's a caramel sauce on top. And, some people do their bread pudding with raisins in it. Theirs is not that way. And it's huge. It's probably this big. So you can share it with 6 people. I don't want to share mine with 6 people. I'll share mine with my husband, but so that's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Okay. Bread pudding. Have you ever tried to make it?
Randy has made bread pudding. I have not. During COVID, he got on a rotation of that and chocolate chip cookies, and I suddenly said, we got to stop. Okay. And he would do a white chocolate raspberry bread pudding. It is to die for, especially, of course, it comes out of the oven, it's hot.
Yeah.
And here's me with a fork ready to, dig right in. And we're stuck in the house during COVID.
Yeah. You can't be around that over the weekend.
If you can out of town bake it and give it away, it's one thing, but when you're stuck with a whole loaf.
No, I begged them to have everybody else eat it because I was like, I cannot be alone with that.
What was it?
Bread pudding.
Oh, y'all had that?
Well, it was like a breakfast bread pudding.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brioche. There's a brioche that they make at Harris Teeter, and it makes the best bread pudding. That's what we would use to make the bread pudding. It also makes a really good French toast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my guilty pleasure. What's your guilty pleasure? I see you eat ice cream quite a bit. So
yeah, I think I do like ice cream. Like the other day I was out of town and I was saying this, like my schedule is all messed up. So I walked around town and like the ladies were talking about, like I ordered a sandwich, but then I was like, well, I'm going to have the ice cream first because I was hungry. Well, they were making the sandwich. So I think I definitely like a good ice cream. I don't even care what flavor it is. I really don't. Like I can go from like the fruity flavors to like the coffee to the chocolate flavors and I'm fine. I can mix them all together. which some people would probably be like, that's gross, but I have done that before.
It's like a Neapolitan.
Kind of like the key lime doesn't go with a lot of things. So like if you're going to do key lime, you kind of can't have that with chocolate, but I've done it. It's like the one flavor where it's not really easy to match that one to other things. And mint, I think too, has its own spot.
So do you like Jen's ice cream?
I do. I like that. I like, there's a place, I did go there when we lived we had one of those in Los Angeles. There's another place called like McConnell's ice cream. That was started in Santa Barbara and now they sell it. And Grater's also, which is in Cincinnati. I could be doing an ad for ice cream. And they're both like Grater's and McConnell's, and they sell them at the grocery stores here at Publix, Harris Teeter. I think those are my two favorite, like going into the store, the grocery store brands. Otherwise, I just like to go to like Andy's frozen custard.
I love Andy's.
I
We
love
have one
Andy's.
like 2 minutes from our house.
Yeah. And we go to Witt's
fabulous.
a lot too, but
Witt's is good.
Yeah. And I can't decide which one I like better, Andy's or Witt's.
And see, I'm a TCBY girl. I
Okay.
want to go. I want all the things. And
Yeah.
Randy too. Literally, Randy and I at TCBY we're no lie, $20.
Okay.
That's how much we get. But that's a one in every 6 months, maybe. We don't do
But
that because
will
it
you
makes me
guys-
feel horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Ice cream really makes me. I love it, but it makes me feel just. It's the
rough.
milk, I think, and all the crap I put in it.
I think it's probably that. Like I had ice cream the other day, and usually like when I get ice cream, I'm like, no, I just want to be by myself and like just hide like an animal.
Well, you just feel fat
Taking
and
food
gross,
away
right?
from I just want to go hide and eat it and don't come near me. Don't look at me. I am eating this. Like just stay away.
But you have to do it.
Yeah.
You can't, which brings me to my point of really, if you're craving something, do it.
Right. But you
Because
don't have to do,
if you don't and you restrict
psychology-
yourself, you will binge eat.
The psychology behind all of that is that our brain, the first bite or the first 2 bites we like, the rest of it is just repetition.
It's just repetition.
So that is the psychology behind it. Like the first 2 bites are like, okay, this is what I needed. This is what I wanted.
But I can't just have 1 or 2 bites. Can you?
It's harder. I mean, I can, but then I feel wasteful because I have this gigantic sundae in front of me. Like, then I don't want to throw it away. Right. So it's a problem. And like, even the price,
Well,
like
that's
even
just
like
with food in
even
general
the,
for
the
me.
kid sizes these days are like still $7.
Yeah.
If you go and get a kid size, I'm like, I now tell them, I'm like, I'm just going to give you $10. Just give me like half a scoop.
I can be miserably full and not have finished my food and say this is wasteful and finish my food just because I don't want to waste
wasting
it.
of it. Like I'd rather, like that's why I've said to the people, I'm like, just charge me, but don't put it all in the cup, please. Don't. Because I'll eat it and I don't want to do that, and I don't want to waste it either. So I'd rather just pay you. I'm not gonna, stiff you on that. Right. But just give me.
That's what's good about going to TCBY. You can just get just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Because you control it.
That's true.
Which is bad because you control it. So I end up,
I feel like I'm hungry now from all this talk. Yeah. Should we go eat something?
I think we should go eat something.
Okay. I think we should go. Everyone's welcome to join us. We're going to go hit the streets and find some healthy foods and maybe a few little sweet treats that don't have to be high necessarily in calories or really bad for you, but that make you feel just a little bite of something usually just takes the edge off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So thank you everybody for joining us. And I'm Marnie.
And I'm Alisa.
And
you can find us at Bench to Bold.
That's right. Everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all of it.
All of our social media accounts, A Chic Alisa.
Marnie Schneider 1.
So everybody have a fabulous day. We'll see you soon.